Good morning, my Real News Midday TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning for another news update for Friday, September 19, 2025. And I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning, no evidence of blood at a car wash in Maitland murder trial. The 7-member jury in the high-profile murder trial of Constable Noel Maitland heard on Thursday that a forensic crime scene officer found no trace of blood at the car wash on Lyndhurst Road in St. Andrew, where a settee was taken to be power washed in July 2022 by him. Maitland is being tried in the Home Circuit Court in Kingston for murder and perverting the lawful burial of a corpse in relation to the disappearance of his social media influencer girlfriend, 24-year-old Donna Donaldson. Donaldson was last seen in his company at the Chelsea Manor apartment complex where the policeman lived, went missing on July 12, 2022. Donaldson, who was last seen in his company at the Chelsea Manor apartment complex where the policeman lived, went missing on July 12, 2022. She had been picked up at her house in St. Andrew by Maitland on July 11 and taken to his house. Not long after Donaldson's disappearance, Maitland hired a truck to remove a large settee from his apartment and took it to a car wash on Lyndhurst Road. A former employee of the car wash had told the court that while she was washing the settee, she observed what she believed to be a large amount of blood running out of the furniture. She also claimed that the smell coming from the settee was raw like blood. She said she even remarked that someone must have bled out in it. However, on Thursday, the forensic crime scene officer told the court that after combing the scene for blood and other forms of DNA evidence, nothing was found. I did my checks and carried out a processing of the scene. I used my crime scene light to make checks for possible DNA. Nothing of evidentiary value was observed. After using the light, I used a chemical known as luminol to carry out further checks. I used a piece of cloth to darken the area. I then applied the luminol by spraying the area. I gave it a few minutes before using the blue light to see if there were any reactions, she shared. No reactions were observed. With the use of luminol, if there are any traces of blood or DNA, the luminol will give off a light blue color to show that something was actually there. Once the blood is present, it will give off a reading, she added. She explained that photographs were taken of the area with a Nikon camera, which was authorized by the Jamaica Constabulary Force. The trial resumes on Monday with a new witness. Former operations manager pleads guilty to multi-million-dollar fraud at Negril Hotel. Former operations manager Paul Wilson has pleaded guilty to defrauding a boutique hotel in West End Negril of millions of dollars over a period spanning several months. Wilson, who had served as the hotel's operations manager for more than 5 years up to June 2021, admitted in the Westmoreland Parish Court on September 1, 2025 to an 8-count indictment that includes conspiracy to defraud, access with intent to commit an offense, larceny as a servant, fraudulent conversion, and obtaining credit card by fraud. According to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, Wilson had unrestricted access to the company's 4 bank accounts, which he used to pay staff salaries, utility bills, operational expenses, and government taxes. An investigation revealed that between September 2020 and June 2021, Wilson made hundreds of unauthorized wire transfers from the hotel's account to his personal account and to individuals not associated with the company. The audit found that $9,333,965.69 and US $340,899.69 had been misappropriated. In February 2021, a loan application for US $120,000 was submitted to the company's bank bearing the forged signature of the complainant. Once approved and deposited into the company's account, the funds were diverted by Wilson to his personal account and to others not associated with the company. Additionally, in March 2021, a check for US $27,000 provided for operational expenses was also misappropriated in a similar manner. Wilson initially claimed he was a victim of credit card scam, causing him to make unauthorized transfers from the company's bank account, but digital forensics conducted by the Jamaica Constabulary Force's Communication Forensics and the Cybercrime Division uncovered incriminating text messages between Wilson and accomplices outlining their conspiracy to steal funds. The ODPP credited the CFCD's report as a critical bargaining tool in securing Wilson's guilty plea. Wilson is scheduled to be sentenced on October 13 in the Westmoreland Parish Court. The prosecution was led by A. Hall, Crown Counsel at the ODPP, while Wilson was represented by attorney at law Shane Walker. Security guard shot dead in Clarendon. A security guard was fatally shot during a targeted attack at Millennium Mall near Maitland, Clarendon on Wednesday evening. He has been identified as 55-year-old Anthony Jones, otherwise called Cyprus, of Canaan Heights in the parish. He was employed to Border Patrol Security Company. The police say Mr. Jones was approached by a man in the vicinity of Select Grocers who opened the fire, hitting him in the head and upper body. The gunman escaped in a waiting silver motor car which headed in the direction of Hayes. Mr. Jones was pronounced dead at hospital. The news was informed that he has been the victim of at least 3 attacks in the last few years, and on each occasion he sustained bullet wounds. Victims of St. Anne double murder identified. St. Anne detectives have identified 2 men whose bodies were found with bullet wounds in a gully along the Dunsville Main Road in Ocherius on Sunday. Both men are from Tank Lane, Aracabessa, St. Mary. They are 43-year-old Andre Allen, otherwise called the Killer, a painter, and a Jomo Folks. No suspects have been identified in the murders. It was reported that about 11 p.m. Saturday, explosions were heard in Dunsville, but residents made no alarm. On Sunday morning, a resident alerted the police to the bodies in the gully. Several spent shells were recovered at the scene. St. Mary police uncover illegal ganja farm, 1 in custody. The St. Mary police on Thursday seized a larger quantity of vegetable matter resembling marijuana and uncovered an unlicensed 2-acre ganja farm in Anota Bay. Police say they conducted a snap raid at a property where the discovery was made. 1 person has been taken into custody, while another is being sought for questioning in relation to the find. Investigators say unlicensed ganja cultivation and the distribution serves as a major funding source for the criminal underworld, fueling illicit enterprises such as the guns for drug trade. The St. Mary police say the unsuccessful seizure underscores their continued commitment to dismantle illegal operations and to safeguard the parish against the criminal enterprises. Llewellyn rebuffs criticism about her decisions as a DPP. As she prepares to demit office on Friday, Director of Public Prosecution Paula Llewellyn has suggested that criticism that there was an apparent reluctance on her part to prosecute alleged high-flying members of the society, including politicians, was an attempt to misguide the public. Ms. Llewellyn has previously stated that whatever recommendations are made to the DPP's office, they are carefully studied before determination is made as to whether a case should be prosecuted. Addressing the matter on the news on Wednesday, Ms. Llewellyn said the spread of misinformation about her decisions was due to her independent thinking and unwillingness to be controlled by power dynamics.
Remember, I'm operating as the first woman in an arena previously inhabited by the patriarchy. And there was a time when I wouldn't say decisions, but the relationships of persons in high office revolved around drinking, playing dominoes, being a part of the lodge, having hair on your chest. And I have none of those. I only had my brain and my integrity. So enter Paul Llewellyn, where there is no aspect of the patriarchy, whether in the media, in the political sphere, who could claim ownership or control. So what do they do, or elements do? Spread misinformation to a public in Jamaica who doesn't necessarily like to read.
Golding wants parliamentary committees again chaired by opposition members. Opposition leader Mark Golding has called for the return of a system where parliamentary committees are chaired by opposition members. Mr. Golding, addressing Thursday's first sitting of Parliament since the September 3 general election, said the reinstatement of such a system would promote greater accountability.
Former Prime Minister Bruce Golding from that side was the one who instituted the mechanism of having the opposition appoint the chairman and chairpersons of these committees. And it was continued by the Most Honourable Portia Simpson Miller when she was Prime Minister, and by Most Honourable Andrew Holness in his first term, and then discontinued. And I urge him to reconsider the discontinuance of that, what I think was the building of an important convention in achieving greater levels of accountability in our Parliament. We intend to hold this government to account for all the promises that they made to the people of Jamaica in the course of the last election in seeking a third term of office and in achieving higher levels of performance than they've been able to achieve thus far. And we intend to also put forward our own proposals as to how we would do that so that Jamaica could be a place in which the aspirations of our people can be met right here on this rock and not by way of having to migrate or seek solace elsewhere.
Guys, thanks for watching. Please join us this afternoon at 2 p.m. for another news update.